In this video, I'd like to talk about the math question of the day for March 15th, 2023. And with this problem, we have a pair of points on the same line with a given slope, and we need to find the missing value. We're told one point is at 610 and the other point is at x comma 14, but we are told that our slope, m, is equal to 2. So to answer a question like this, you do need to have a solid understanding of Algebra 1, particularly linear equations. So at this point, go ahead and pause the video, see if you can work through this on your own. And when you're ready, unpause the video and we can go through this together. Now, assuming that you have at least attempted this problem, let's start working through it. And if you do have suggestions for future questions of the day, feel free to leave those as a comment. Now, we are told what the slope is, and we're told information about two coordinate points on the line, but we don't know the x value for our second point. However, this is something we can figure out if we know how to define slope and how to find its formula. So remember that the slope of the line can be defined as the rise divided by the run, or more precisely as the change in the y values divided by the change in the x values, where this triangle here, this is just the Greek letter delta, and it means change in. So the change in the y values divided by the change in the x values. And if we have two specific coordinate points, let's say x1 comma y1 and x2 comma y2, then we can find this change in y and this change in x. Since the change in the y values, that's just the difference between the y values. We do y2 minus y1, and the change in the x values similarly will be x2 minus x1. Now be careful with this formula. You can put either y1 or y2 first, but you need to be consistent. If you put y2 first, then you need to put x2 first. Likewise, if this was y1, then this would have to be x1 minus x2. So just be careful with your order here. And we know that our slope is equal to 2, since we usually use the letter m for slope. So let's plug in the information we know. We can say this is x1 and this is y1. So this would be x2 and this would be y2. Let's use our formula here. We have y2, that's 14. We're subtracting y1, which is 10. We have x2, which we don't know. We just call that x. And we're subtracting x1, which is 6. All of this is equal to 2. We can simplify this numerator. We have 4 over x minus 6. This is equal to 2. And to solve this, this is a rational equation. We have x in the denominator. We need to get x out of that denominator. So let's multiply both sides of the equation by that denominator. Let's start by rewriting everything so that we have some room here. But we can multiply both sides of this equation by x minus 6. And by doing so, on the left-hand side, they will cancel each other out so that we just get 4. Since something divided by itself, that's always 1. So we get 4 is 2 times x minus 6, and I will distribute that so that we get 2x minus 12. And now we just have a two-step equation, so we need to isolate the variable term. We will cancel out the subtraction by 12 by adding 12 to each side. And let me make a little bit more room. We get 16 is 2x, and dividing everything by 2 here to cancel out that multiplication, we find that x is equal to 8. Now let's go back up and see if this makes sense. So we think that our x value here is 8, and if we look at our change in y values based on these numbers, it looks like the y values went up 4 and the x values went up 2. So we would have 4 for the change in the y values and 2 for the change in the x values, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this x value of 8 makes sense, and we can feel confident that it's the correct answer.